it's Liz Yuille from Old Staples Crafts. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today I am sharing with you the project that I have made for my customers who shopped with me in November. I'm making this little desk diary and I'm using a very small bit of new product. So I thought I would show you how I've made it. It's great for craft fairs, so if you've still got craft fairs coming up, this is a fantastic make. Now, I will stress I'm using international A4 paper. If you're in North America, your paper is going to be wider and shorter, so the measurements will be different. And if you've got a different size memo block or a different size calendar, the measurements will be different. So this is quite a specific, but it'll give you the general idea of how I've made it. So the paper that I've used is from the Tropical Oasis suite, and it is gorgeous. It's all things tropical. I think it's probably to do with the fact that the incentive trip for those who earned it in the last Stampin' Up! Year is to Hawaii, because it's definitely got that sort of feel to it. So yes, and why not, I say. They work hard for it, so why shouldn't they get it? Okay, so the first thing I am going to do is talk you through the scoring that I've actually already done on this one. So this is a half a sheet of A4. I've scored it in the middle at 15.85 centimetres, and then I'm switching to Imperial. I've then scored both ends at 1/4 of an inch and 1 1/4 inches. So at both ends, and that forms the basis, so it's this tent bit of the calendar, of the desk calendar. I am going to put this together now, and then I'll come back to the other bit, purely because it kind of needs to dry, because I am using liquid adhesive for this. I'm using various adhesives, but for this I am using liquid adhesive. So I'm folding up on the 1 1/4 inch line, so towards the middle of the card, and then back on itself on the 1/4 of an inch line. And then those two pieces will just pop together. And I'm just going to run a little bit of adhesive along both sides of this score line. I find it's easier just to put a little bit on one side rather than trying to put a little bit on both. Then you've only got one side to worry about being wet. And then just introduce the other side to that. And then because it's wet adhesive, you can get it into position before you press too hard and get it in the wrong place. So I am actually going to press it from the outside, making sure that the layers are all together. And there we are. There is our nice little tent. And it just folds flat for storage, really, so it's fine. So that's our base, like that. Okay. Right, for the bit for the memo pad and for the calendar to go on the front, you need a piece of card that is, let me just check again, 5.5 inches by 3.5 inches. And we're going to score on 3 sides at 1/2 inch and 1 inch. Score, get rid of the cutting blade, always a plan. So 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and I just found that that made it easier. It gives you a nice size pocket. You could put post-it notes in rather than a memo block, but yeah, it's up to you. I just happened to find memo blocks, and the post-it notes were a colour that didn't really go with the paper. So okay, so that's actually all the scoring that we need. And then all I need to do is simply burnish all my score lines. Now do remember, I will, as I say, I'll have all of the measurements over on my website. There is a link to my the blog post for this project immediately below in the description bar, so it's easy to find. You don't have to go scrabbling through trying to find the one for today's date. So really easy to find. So to get this ready for putting on the front, we're going to, actually I'll work from this side, it might be easier for you to see. Cut the corner there, and then this is going to be the flap that comes around. We're sort of making a box, so I'm going to go straight down here, and I'm not too fussed about that one actually, and then wedge in a little bit, and then wedge in a little bit here as well, and then cut this away. So you want to have a mitered corner top and bottom, and you can get rid of those two squares, and you can actually get rid of that one as well, and then just miter the outside of the outside piece rather than the inside piece. Don't think I'm explaining myself particularly well this morning. And then cut straight down, wedge out, and then again we're just going to wedge out a little bit, and then do a proper corner miter, and then again wedge. So this is, oh, and I need to get rid of that one. Ha! Right, let's try that again. This is the shape that we are going for. I'm going to glue these down with glue dots purely because it's quick and easy. So a glue dot on each of those little flaps. You could use adhesive, as in multi-purpose liquid adhesive, which is back in stock. But for speed, I'm just going to use those. So yes, if you're in Europe and you've been waiting for the multi-purpose liquid adhesive, we've got it. You can only order 3 at any one time, so 3 with any one order, but we do at least have it in stock. Stamping Up have assured us that they have ordered sufficient that under normal circumstances we would have enough for the next 2 years. Oh, before I get too carried away, I'm going to put the calendar on the front. So I've got a mat to go on the front. Now for my calendar, which came from a local discount store, which is throughout the UK, and it's called The Works. It's a real Aladdin's cave of all sorts of slightly odd stuff. So for this, I have cut my mat at 3 7/16, so 3 7/16 by 2 3/8, because that's how much I needed. Now these ones happen to come with some sticky on the back, so I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to use the sticky that they've given us. If yours don't have sticky on the back, then I would suggest that you add some on. This may be a schoolboy error, and I may find that they all fall off in about June, at which point I will have some customers going, Liz, why didn't you make it properly? But I'm going to assume that they work all right. And then just add some multi-purpose liquid adhesive, because we've got it, and pop this on the front. It's probably best to do this before you start constructing the pocket, because then you're working on a 2D piece of card rather than a 3D piece of card. And it's much easier to get things square when you can put them flat. Just saying. Anyway, there we go. So, tear and tape. Yes, I know it's adhesive heavy, but you know, some adhesives are good for one thing and some are good for another. So I'm going to run tear and tape along the edge of all of the flaps. And I will be tucking any stray ends in. That's why I use the angle I've got there to fit into that angle there. And then just fold that in so that it's out of the way. that's probably the only one that's majorly in the way. And then just make sure that's stuck down properly. Remove that, and then we can pop our bottom flap over our side flaps, and then grabbing the card base, or the calendar base, I suppose is a better phrase for it. We want this to line up with the bottom of your base, and I've found that doing it from above is the easiest way of doing that, with some hope of this actually touching the bottom. And then just get in there with your bone folder to make sure that everything's pressed down properly. And there we are. Right, we are nearly there. Hurrah, hurrah. This is for my pattern paper, and this is 4 inches by 1 7/8. And I've cut my patterned paper at 3 3/4 by 1 5/8. So there's just a little, that is the right way up, yes. The birds of paradise are going in all sorts of directions, which does make trying to find the right direction challengingly interesting. And then this is just going to pop on here. So let's use liquid adhesive. Ooh, I'm going to go with the fact that the palm trees on the back are obviously going to be the right way up, and I'm going to follow those. So this is my top. So the top is away from me and the bottom is nearest to me. So again, liquid adhesive, top. And then pop that onto your calendar. And then the observant amongst you will have noticed that when I said I found this memo pad, it's actually not going to fit. So all I have done is just taken what is technically known as a wodge, and then just pulled that away from the memo pad, and then pop that into the pocket, and we're done. And there it is. So I hope you enjoyed that. As I say, great for craft fairs. Do remember that if you're doing a calendar for craft fairs, the calendar is for a year, so don't get too Christmas orientated, because it will be great for December. So just a thought. I have seen so many people make calendars that are Christmassy, Christmas, and it is something that you're going to have on the desk for a year. So yeah. Anyway, there we go. So there's 2, there's 3. Here's some more that I'm prepping. I have 1 or 2 more to make, so I'm going to get started on those now. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye. Oh, and do remember, if you've enjoyed that, thumbs up, and if you would like to subscribe, it's in the bottom right hand corner. Thanks a lot.